Wednesday, the 1st of May, Martin shave tests. I'm doing a little bit of a recalculation. I had a shave with my freshly honed Puma, the number 89, and it shaved very well off the Italian-slate. However, I was messing about today looking at various ways to test sharpness with these strange poly whatever they are, and versus little red baby tomato versus proper polystyrene. And in testing, I found out something rather unfortunate. I hadn't looked carefully enough under my little loop. There was a little tiny bit of corrosion on the toe of this 89 Puma, and it wasn't actually passing, even though it had, but it wasn't passing the tomato test, nor was it passing the push test on the expanded polystyrene. So I thought, and under closer inspection, yes, there's pitting. So what I'm going to do is a little remedial work and a new finish. So I've also got another razor to try today, a Sheffield. So let's get this Puma hopefully on a 5K Shapton stone. I think this is probably enough to bring it back. I hope so. If not, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to take it all the way back to 1K, 3K, etc. But I'm hoping 5K with a little bit of pressure. I was very pleased to see that Greg Gallant, who does a marvellous channel. I think Greg is a secretive scientist, because he really does give some incredible in-depth scientific analysis of our procedures. Anyway, I was watching Greg, and he does the packing peanut test, as does Bill. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm perfectly happy with the baby tomato test, but I'll give him a little comparison, which is what it's all about. So anyway, in doing that, that's when I discovered I had a pitted edge. The very toe of this used, rather nice though, Puma. The Puma 89, this is one of the early ones. This is the Latter Jung Soon, so it's probably 1925, 1930. It's certainly an early Puma. Anyway, it had had a little bit of a hard life. I'm terribly grateful to Jeff Smith, who gifted it to me on my birthday. But it had had a little bit of a hard life, and I hadn't spotted it. So negative marks for me for stupidity. Anyway, as you can see, I'm getting a nice colour here. Oh, I was very pleased that Mr. Greg Gallant uses, as I do, two-handed method to even out the pressure on the stone and on the blade. It gives me better feedback. When I'm doing a natural stone handheld, yes, of course I use one hand, but I want to get this one about right, because Pumas do give the most magnificent shave. They're what I call a very malleable steel, very malleable razor. You can put almost any edge on a Puma and it'll be good. I mean, this thing, even though it's got a pitted toe, it actually shaved very well. If you saw my shave video, it performed magnificently. Just goes to show. Anyway, let's have a little look and see how far I've got. Intriguing. I'd say that little bit of pitting is mostly gone. So rather than stick it under a microscope, I'm going to use my little loop. 40 magnification, LED powered. Let's have a little look. I'd say that was about 90% gone. Let me just check one more time. And as Greg mentioned, if you don't get the angle correct under the magnifying lens that you're using, you won't get the right shine. And it's the little shiny bit that you want. Anyway, that's pretty good. I'll give it a couple more just to annoy you all. And that will be it for me. Then I'm going to introduce you to another razor which has a similar problem, which I think you're going to find in an awful lot of near mint razors which have been left by the previous owner after a shave without drying them properly. As we all know, if you strop your razor after you've had a shave, then that, even though you've wiped it of course, but even that tends to polish and dry the edge. Well, I'm not going to do any more on this because I reckon, judging by the colour of the swarf, that I have removed quite a lot of steel. Obviously I'm inclining the pressure somewhat towards the nose because that's where the fault was. This is the joy. You can actually work your method according to your fault. Anyway, and I wash the stone off so it's nice and fresh again. So nice fresh 5K. Let's just do a tiny bit more. Oh, it's nice and sticky now. And it's not leaving very much in the way of dark swarf because I ain't pushing quite so hard. And I reckon that is going to be a very, very, very good edge. Can't believe it shaves so well. It shaves so well with a damaged toe. Must be leathery skin on my part. Anyway, as I say, this is far from being a mint razor. But I think one more check we're done. Let me just check one more time. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's got it. Can't believe I didn't see it the first time. Just goes to show getting the light right. Yeah, I'm going to call that okay. Anyway, champs, do you know, I can still see, God, I can still see one little pit. Oh, it's so annoying. So no, back we go. I'm not having it. It's got to go. Back to a little more pressure. Unfortunately, I seem to be lifting my tape, which is rather annoying. In fact, I'll take the tape off. I was going for a compound bevel, but now I'm not. So it's very slightly altered the angle now because I've taken the tape away. And that will surely have got rid of it. It might be a deeper pit than I imagined. It is a corrosion pit, of course. And if it is a deep pit, then I'm afraid this won't do it. I will have to go to a much more coarse stone, which I don't want to do. So let's have another little look. I'm just getting slightly more pressure with my left hand onto the toe in the hope of removing it. These swirling movements that I'm using, I tend to use quite a lot. I really do think it helps. You're covering all of the edge that way. Because on some razors with very long edges, you do need to do this. Anyhow, let's have another look. Let's see if it's done it. If it has, I won't bore you any longer. It looks very, very, very nice and shiny. The looks can be deceptive. Go back to the loop. Yeah. Again, 99%. So difficult to get it exactly right. There's still little bits of corrosion there. Oh, okay. Do you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to ditch the 5K stone, which I hoped I could get away with. And I'm going to go all the way down. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my 3K. Yep. 3K Nanoir Professional. And sod it. I'm going to put a slurry on it. It's already, I only used it once yesterday, so really this is a bit silly, but there's the pencil lines. Add some water. I hadn't planned this, chap, so do bear with me. This is going to be slightly longer, I'm afraid, than I expected. There goes the pencil marks, they're all going. They've gone. Nice thick slurry left. Do be careful in washing off your diamond plate. You don't want to contaminate your stones with the previous slurry, but that's good, that's clean. Right, let's get back to this devil. Let's see if we can completely remove that stupid little corrosion pit. It would be sufficient to upset a fine shave. The fact that I shaved with it yesterday and it was good doesn't really mean too much, because I wasn't using the tip of the toe. Hence why it gave me a good shave, because it is only this tip. But for doing very fine touch-up work under your nose or whatever, you don't want any of that. So this is a lesson for me. Sorry to bore you guys, but this is a lesson. The lesson being, check your edge thoroughly on an older razor, one you haven't honed or used before. You might get a very nasty surprise, as I did. Not sufficient to spoil a shave, but quite sufficient to mean you've got to take it back to the stones. Now that noise with the stupid rear guard just touching on the stone, which nothing to do with the edge, guys. This is just one of the annoying things of having a stiffener on the back of a blade. Now that must have done it, surely. Looks good under my eye, but I'm not sure. Let's do a few really naughty little half strokes. I really want to get some metal moved. There's nothing like firm half strokes. I do like rotary strokes as well. Let's do some of them. But that upsets the scratch pattern. If you're trying to look for a nice scratch pattern, don't do rotary strokes, because it upsets the pattern. Not that I care. Right, let's have another look then. And this time, please, 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 may it be nice and removed. Let's have a look. Yes. Hooray for 3K. Nanoir Professional every time. Yeah, it did it. Which means I might as well use the 3K stone on my next little project, which I think you'll find interesting. This is a quite nice, it's a bigger blade, it's a 7/8. This is by E.M. Dickinson, Sheffield, England, And this had only one fault. It has a slight, well, it had a broken scale. I really thought I'd mend it, which I have, rather than replace the scale, which is probably me being lazy. But this is a nice, big, fat E.M. Dickinson blade. But it has, you won't see it guys, but it has a little bit of corrosion on the edge. That's got to go. So while we've got some slurry and a 3K stone, the Nano are professional, let's get rid of the corrosion. Obviously this one being hardly used, I have taped the spine. There's no point putting nasty hone wear on a very mint razor, and this blade is very nearly mint. If it hadn't been for the previous owner who just left it a little bit neglected, and the only corrosion is only on the edge, which is a very common fault, which is why of course you got to strop and dry your edge, because these are carbon steel, and a nice high carbon steel. Though I would surmise that being a Sheffield blade, about the same period, I'd guess around the 1920s, as the Puma, in which case it's a nice, not a dead hard Swedish steel, it's a nice flexible steel, which is why Sheffield give rather a good shave and they have a good reputation. Now I reckon that that's probably got rid of the corrosion entirely. It wasn't deep, there was no nicks in the edge. Even I noticed that that was okay. I'm doing the usual fore and aft, backwards and forwards, with a slight swoop every now and again. I don't particularly want to put a ragged or a tatty edge on this one. I think this is going to be a good razor. So no wire edge. If you go in this pattern, you won't get a wire edge. You're going into the stone like that. So let's have a gander. Let's have a look. Well, I'll be damned. One side looks very good indeed. No, there's still some corrosion there. Please don't tell me I've got to go to 1K to get rid of this. I hope not. Rotary strokes will always remove more steel. So let's do some rotary strokes. Equal pressure. That surely must get rid of it. If not, then I'm going to have to revert to, oh, I did make a mistake, I do apologise. I did say that my Kingstone, the Super Kingstone, I thought, because I got it from a weird site, I thought it was Chinese because it's got the usual strange Chinese style writing. I looked at the corner of the cardboard box and of course it says made in Japan. So apologies, chap. Nobody's perfect, I got it wrong. I do hope this is enough to remove the corrosion. I really don't want to put 1K scratches all over it, but I might have to. Let's have a look. Well, the edge itself is quite good. The only corrosion now is to the back of the bevel. So I'm going to call that okay. I would say that it's only now, the apex looks okay. That's the apex that we do the shaving with. Yep. There is still a couple of little black marks, but they're now not on the apex. Let's have another look. Yeah, isn't that strange? right at the rear of the bevel, and only on the rear of the bevel is corrosion, and that's not going to do any harm at all. If I was a technical person, I'd have my microscope and I'd take a good picture, but I'm not, so there. Anyway, that is fine. So that's that one. Let's get rid of our lovely 3K Nanoir, which has done a sterling job in removing the corrosion. I'm going to have to go back now to the 5K. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of slurry on the 5K. Rotary strokes again. Try and keep your strokes even. I didn't put the pencil on. No need, we only used it just now. There we go. I'll make sure. Yeah, that's good. Wash the diamond plate. I do apologise, this is going to be a little bit longer than I thought. In fact, what I might do, I might make a second video just showing how to really refine an edge. So we've gone from 3K to 5K with slurry. We've removed the wicked corrosion off the apex. We have a tiny trace of dark corrosion only on the very rear of the bevel, which obviously is not going to do any harm at all, because that's a very thick piece of metal. I'm getting a very nice colour coming up now. Look at that colour. That's pretty good. I'll get my other hand out of the way. Yeah, that I would say is enough. So that's your 3K gone. That's your 5K scratch pattern established. That should do it. Let's get rid of the 5K. Then we'll go 8K, the final finisher. And I've got a surprise for you. So let's go to my lovely 8K. I'm not going to raise, I won't raise a slurry on the 8K. There seems to be a little bit of controversy about whether you should or not. It's a lovely clean stone. What I will do, I'll test the edge, because I'm certain that we didn't need to really bevel set. Oh my goodness me, no we didn't. Let's just try. I think these are polyurethane packing peanuts. Yeah, they're strange. If you press your blade on a packing peanut of this strange shiny material, this strange polyurethane, polystyrene. It's not a polystyrene. I do beg its pardon. No, it won't do it. Obviously, slicing it will. Whereas the true test is expanded polystyrene, and with that, it's still not no, it hasn't got a good enough edge to do with that even. Whereas it does, hence why I use them, if you do it very gentle pressure with a very slight slice. Yeah, sorry, I'm definitely reverting to being a baby tomato person. So let's see what we can do. We'll do a few swooping nice movements, and we'll have this then as a nice 8K edge. And obviously I will do the same with the Puma. How strange to have two razors both with the same fault. Hidden pits. This was much more visible because this is a very shiny 7/8 blade. Very nice blade, very shiny. So I spotted straight away when I bought it, I spotted that it had corrosion on the edge, but as I suspected, only on the very, very edge. So once that's removed, I've left a little corrosion on the rear of the bevel, but that doesn't count, so I'm not going to say anything more about that. I reckon that should be 8K now. I don't believe in constantly checking under the loop. I will in a minute just to see the scratch pattern, but I reckon the scratch pattern should just be a nice, shiny, refined pattern. So that, I'm going to call that one done. Yeah, I can still see on the upper bevel, I can still see a little touch of corrosion, but not any on the actual apex. So let's go and do this Puma. Totally different feel, by the way, on steel. The Puma steel, I would say, was actually harder. I can feel, even though I know it's not taped, but I can feel it. The Sheffield, very kind, quite a soft steel. Well, soft is a relative term. It's still very hard, high temper steel. Nice amount of swarf now showing on the 8K stone. I've got to be super careful with this Puma. I'm still favouring it towards the toe, just to make absolutely certain that that area of corrosion on the toe is gone. Right, that must be enough. So, one dirty stone. Yep. So do forgive me, this is a lot longer than I wanted to. I didn't think I'd have quite as much problem with these corroded edges, but I have had. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's a nice shiny toe. Let's clean up and get rid of the 8K, and then I'll finish off. I'm sorry chaps, this is a long video for me. I'm going to finish off properly with a bit of a test. We've got two razors now here. They're ready to have a final finisher. One being the Puma, the other one being the Dickinson Sheffield. And I am going to put them on to something you should be pleased with. I'm going to put them on to two different types of coticle. And we'll see if I can get a decent coticle edge. The one thing about Puma is, as I mentioned in the last video, the Puma you can almost guarantee getting a pretty good edge, whether it's a natural stone or a synthetic. Right, let me show you what I've got. That is one type of Ardennes coticle, and it's slurry stone in a nice box. And here's the antique one, which is my best so far. That one's got the little manganese lines going across it, and its little matching slurry stone. Both, as you can see, are naturals. Well, this one's certainly a natural. Yeah, that's a natural, and I don't think that's had a glued slate back to it. Not too sure about that one. Don't care. Anyway, although they look the same, they are actually quite different in structure, as you often find. So we're going to do the Puma on this slightly later coticle. I don't know, I say later, what am I talking about? Later manufacture. A late vein, whatever you want to call it. So, let's drive up slurry. I can't tell you whether this is a vignette or a whatever. I bought one of them from eBay and the other one I bought from Gary. And this is Gary's. But I've used it and it varies. I would say that's a decent medium. Yeah, it's a decent medium slurry. I'm not going to confuse the stones. So let's see what we can do. That's got a lovely feel. Then I'm going to water it down and try and get to a nice sticky water only. So we've gone 3K, 5K, lots of checks, 8K, and now we are on a nice Ardennes coticle. Although my profound ignorance on the subject, I can't tell you what vein it is. I can only tell you when I shave with it if it works. So I'm going to say that as a is probably enough for a medium slurry. I'm going to have a quick look under the scope in a sec. Well, not under the scope, under the cost. Oh, spit my teeth out in a minute. I'm going to check under the loop and see if I can see anything which determines whether or not we've got a nice natural glazy edge. Let's have a look. I would say that only has at the moment a very nice even scratch pattern. I cannot honestly say. Oh, a little bit of haze. Yeah, all right, a little bit. Then I'm going to wipe off most of this and hopefully the little garnets have done their job. I have had some wonderful kind shaves off a coticle, but I can't get a guarantee. Also, by doing these curious rotary strokes along the whole length of the edge, I'm faking I'm faking a natural finish this way, because you'll get a swirly scratch pattern along the edge, and we can all pretend then that that's the hazy glow of a natural edge, which really doesn't matter as long as it shaves properly. You can see we're still getting a little tiny bit. See, there's a little tiny bit of swarf there. Let's get rid of that. And now, this is the last, don't worry, won't be much longer, chaps. This is now the real test. Running water. Yeah, that's starting. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That is starting. Ooh, definitely. That's sticky as hell. I reckon a few more strokes and we're there. So that will be this Puma 89 set to a coticle edge. And I would think it might even eclipse the Italian-slate, which this last shave from this same razor was on Italian-slate and was good. It was very good, actually. No, that's enough. Can you see how sticky it's getting? That is sticky. Now I'll do just a couple very, very light ones. Yeah, that's it. Not doing any more. So that's the correct slurry stone. This one didn't need flatting because I knew it was flat. I'll put that over there. Now, let's get a bit of fresh kitchen roll. I'm going to give this one more look, and that'll be one finished razor ready to take to the strops. By the way, Greg Gallant, who I've already mentioned, I would very, very highly recommend that you follow him and subscribe. Nothing short of scientific genius. Let's have a look. Frosty looking. Very slightly frosty looking. Yes. Well, time will tell. Calling that one done. Put it down carefully. I'm using cold water. The reason I'm using cold water is because if you're silly enough, and I have done this, if you use warm water from the tap when you're honing and you leave the razor for just a few moments, damp and warm, you just bugger the edge. It will corrode almost instantly. We don't want that, do we, chaps? No. Right. Okay. This is the other Ardennes coticle. This one I bought on eBay. A very nice gentleman in the Midlands. And this one, I can't remember if I'd flatted, so let me just check. I think it was okay. No, it wasn't. You see, it wasn't okay. It needs flatting. Yeah. Isn't that strange? It's actually raised at both ends. So I suspect the stone itself is slightly warping, or has slightly warped. It's very even though, so I don't really think I'm going to bother getting all of the pencil marks out. There's no dips. No, the only dip is very even, right in the middle. I don't want to wear out this stone. I might just give it a couple more touches. You're seeing me working hard today, chaps. Now, I really don't want to take any more of that away. I'm going to use it as it is. This is a thin stone, as you can see. And I really don't want to wear any more than I need. So, slurry stone, little one. Bring up a little bit of slurry. We'll use a medium slurry, not a heavy slurry. You can actually bevel set on a coticle. I have. You can bevel set just on a coticle. But as we've gone to 8K, no need. So let's just way. Ooh, I can feel all those little garnets. They hide beneath the softer pale stone. And the higher the grade of stone, the more tiny garnets, the square centimetre or cubic kilometre or whatever. I don't like the metric system. So that is going to be a very interesting test. Yep. Gosh, I've made this. I think this is the longest video I've ever done. Do forgive me. Just put a little bit of water, not much. And remove virtually all of the slurry now. Don't know if you can see that. I'm not doing a very good job today. I'm a bit knackered. It was sunny this morning. I walked down into the town in my shorts and in a t-shirt. And of course now it's raining and it's back to bloody winter. We're talking about England now, chaps. Right, that's the light slurry gone. Wash it all off. So we're now just purely now, as we were on the other one, back to just do a few laps without water, or well, obviously there's water on the stone, but the real test for me is going to be running water. Let's feel how. Ooh, starting already. Yep. That is starting to stick very nicely. A nice sticky feel. I think this will probably do, and then I can leave you in peace and not bore you into a state of catatonia, which, by the way, in the 90s was one of my, if not my favourite group. You really want to look up some good music, look up Catatonia, although they did get banned on a few stations for their naughty lyrics. Anyway, that, or another good tip from our friend Greg Gallant, go slowly on your final laps on the stone. Do not cause unnecessary impact on your edge, because he did mention about the I don't know, the square root of the hypotenuse. He was saying how velocity and mass ain't very good friends. The more velocity and the more pressure, the more mass, the more likely you are to engender a little damage. Though I don't know, what do I know? I'm an engineer, not a scientist. I'm not even an engineer, I'm a restorer, God help us. That is the lowest of the low, by the way. Anyway, I think we'll call that about the same as the other one. Nice and sticky. Do you know, I think one side's slightly stickier than the other. Why should that be? I don't know. But there you go, chaps. So we've got, this is the older deep vein, whatever, I don't know. This is the older coticle with its little slurry stone. I'm now covered in slurry. I'm going to put this over here to dry. The other one is drying. Don't get them confused. I'm now going to have a quick check under the loop once I've dried my hands, and we'll call that a day. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I do hope this has some relevance to your endeavours, chaps. Only I do feel not enough people go into the practicalities. Theory is one thing, practicality is another. Let's get a fresh last piece of kitchen towel. Yeah, that is looking pretty good to me. I shall now have a very quick, using Anglicism, a butchus. Let's have a quick look. I don't think this is the best loop for close inspection. I'm not going to lie, I can't honestly tell. I can see a nice fine scratch pattern, but I can't really tell that isn't, you know, an artificial or a natural scratch pattern. So the proof of the pudding will be the stropping and then the shaving. Thanks for bearing with us, guys. Let me show you the two razors one more time. We have this fine fellow, which is it's about 7/8. It's an E.M. Dickinson. It's Sheffield, England. This one was taped because it had a very, very, very nice, look at the shine on that. Very, very nice. That's I have to give it a proper wipe in a sec. But that's very nearly a mint mirror polish. I have to get rid of the the sticky gudge in a sec. And there is the slightly worn, slightly corroded Puma 89. I would say they're both the same period. They've both now got very refined edges. They've both got cortical edges. We'll see soon how they're going to shave. Thanks, guys. Sorry about the length of the tape. It's going on and on and on. I won't do another long one like this again in a hurry. Anyway, Martin's test shaves.